Returnal is a game I honestly had zero interest in. Roguelike games is something you really need to enjoy. Hades, Risk of Rain, and Isaac are just a few that spring to mind that one must embrace and enjoy. The premise of these games, unlike others, is that you have one life. Let me stipulate that you can get additional lives through pickups, but these are not guaranteed. As you play through the game, you pick up both permanent and temporary upgrades. Sounds familiar? I'll get to that later. The permanent ones are the ones required to progress in the game, but the temporary ones, upon death, will all be lost, including all the weapons and buffs you got as well. Sounds daunting, right? If you die at any point, you are returned to the beginning of the game. Reset of all pickups, hence we come to the title. Welcome to my review of Returnal. So now that we understand the premise and concept of Returnal, it's time to dive deeper into this and see exactly what makes Returnal stand above the rest. When I first started playing, the frame rate and sheer fluidity of the movement blew me away. It just moved so beautifully. Every jump, dash, slide just felt right. The gunplay was good and actually complemented the movement of the game, the fluidity of the experience. Enemy creatures were creative, weird and interesting. They even brought a sense of mini bullet hell into the experience, bosses even more so, which was a wonderful sight to behold. As you progress through the game, you encounter other human corpses before you shortly realize that the people you are seeing are in fact you. It doesn't take long before you realize you are stuck in a time loop. The story is told through audio logs you pick up as you play along the game and do a great job in pushing the narrative.
Elapsed time, 30 minutes since last crash. Whole areas of this forest are rearranging themselves like a fluid puzzle after each of my... Whenever I return, per Astra protocol, I will not be recovered until I reach the broadcast signal. If you're hearing this, you are stuck here too.
It worked, and it worked better than I expected, and that's the best part of Returnal. In my eyes, before playing the game, nothing should have worked. The game, the premise, its pace, but they all come together to deliver an amazing experience. From exploring your surroundings to traversing a creepy house, even your ship at the start holds information and secrets as you delve further into the game. Simply laying down in your quarters gives you information. Everything around you is designed to further your knowledge and understanding each playthrough, and I absolutely love that about this game. As a Metroid and Castlevania fan, I felt right at home with Returnal, as the incorporation of aspects from that genre just did this game so much justice. You will come across many areas you can't immediately reach because you have yet to unlock that upgrade. This only adds to the game's immense replayability, because as you get further into the game, those abilities begin to unlock, because you gain access to whole new areas of the maps that you previously couldn't access. This opens up huge amounts of traversal area, and considering there are multiple biomes in this game that will follow the same trope, you can see how quickly the game can expand just by gaining a few abilities. When it comes to weapons, you have a plethora at your disposal, around 10 weapons with varying firing styles and elements ranging from handguns to auto rifles and shotguns and more. Finding the right one for your playstyle is pretty sweet, but it doesn't stop there. The weapons are also graded with stars. The higher the star, the better the weapon, but there is more to it than just picking up the next best weapon. Say for example you had a shotgun with a slug variant and you liked that weapon. You can, by defeating enough enemies, unlock that variant. Once unlocked, you have that variant unlocked, and the next gun you pick up, the upgrade will fire in a slug variant. This mechanic alone adds a whole dynamic to how you approach the game and the encounters that you will face. The game is hard, challenging, and very unforgiving. You need to learn mechanics, learn bosses' movements if you wish to have a chance of defeating that boss. If you die, you lose almost everything. Harsh, but it's what makes this game shine. It's a weird thought process to understand that the ability to lose everything you worked on for the past hour or more could be lost by a single wrong move. Yet it does make you question, should I venture deeper, should I explore more, or try the boss encounter to continue to the next area? These questions start becoming very relevant when you realize that death could be awaiting you at the next corner. Because as you will have picked up, a death resets you and you will be returnaled back to the start. As you traverse the game, you'll come across plenty of items. Green items heal you, blue give you enhancements, and orange are artifacts. Artifacts are very powerful and can range from clearing malfunctions, which I'll come to in a second, to giving you a plethora of abilities such as regen, and even giving you an extra life. Purple items are those generally afflicted with malfunctions. Their severity ranges from low to high, but you really don't want to have more than 2 at any given time. Now I say severity, but essentially what the severity means is the difficulty in removing the malfunction. Once you have one of these malfunctions, you can clear them by completing the required objectives, or by the artifacts which can cleanse all malfunctions you currently have. Objectives range from opening chests a number of times, to defeating certain number of enemies, to completing certain tasks. They are completely random at what they give you, but from past experience, the more severe it is, the more difficult it is to cleanse. Of course, the actual malfunction doesn't really do anything to you, but it does prevent you picking up other items that you could then work on cleansing. You also have what's called parasites, and these can be extremely beneficial. They generally have a positive and a negative effect, but the positive usually always outpowers the negative. It adds a different element to the game. However, being RNG on what you get each playthrough, I would have preferred some of these to be more consistently available. You also have pods that can provide you enhancements for the currency you collect in game, from artifact to semi-permanent effects. I say semi-permanent because they stay with you till you die. Such semi-permanent effects are like maximizing your health. You can extend the amount of health you have. All of this adds to both the complexity, difficulty, and brilliance that is Returnal. There is also the notion that the game isn't very long. In total, there are 6 biomes which are all procedurally generated, meaning though the areas will look familiar, the order they will appear in constantly change. This also means that the fast travels you unlock, consequentially, will also be reset upon death. But this does add an immense amount to the replayability. Essentially, no 2 games that you play should be the same, which is always thrilling and exciting. As well as the 6 biomes in Returnal, there are also 5 bosses. Of course, being Returnal, things are never straightforward, and this is no different. Though it may seem that the bosses are few and far between, it's a little more complicated than that. However, delving deeper into this would come to spoiler territories, and in all honesty, I'd rather you experience what the game has to offer for yourself. Especially if you made it this far. I would of course showcase the first boss, because the first boss is something that you'll always encounter, but I don't want to spoil the rest of the bosses for you because they are a true gem. However, the game itself is brutally hard and punishing, and it's the reset cycle that extends the game's length. The pursuit to improve, learn and be better and perfect each boss, and to move on to the next biomes. So yes, the game itself is short, but because of the brutally punishing nature of the game, the longevity of the game is extended, and you will find yourself having 10s and 20s, even hundreds of hours of fun if you do traverse into the world of Returnal. There are tons here to like, and even those new to the genre will feel at ease as they start playing and getting familiar with the game and controls, and as you delve deeper into the game, you cannot but want to learn more about the story, the lore, and the world you are in. Sound-wise, the game is on a completely another level. I played the game using the official PS5 Sense headset, and the intensity of even the calm areas where I knew nothing was there was unsettling. I could hear things in the walls moving, slithering, the ambience, your booster pack thrusting, every jump, and the sounds of your weapons all add to the atmosphere it's trying to create, and it does it so exceptionally well. Additionally, every action, every drop, every attack has its own distinctive sound which you think would be lost in the chaotic combat, but no, in reality you get to hear every last chime, and each sound is indicative of attacks coming at you, and it works, and it just works so damn well. You can see that the amount of attention, the amount of care, the amount of detail that went into every sound within this game is of the highest of standards of quality. The sound is so crystal clear perfect that by just listening you could know which attacks are incoming and when to dodge. There is something to be said about sound quality, and in a game like this where you want it to shine, and it does so much more. The DualSense also impresses. In fact, it's the first time I've been impressed with the usage of the DualSense controller since Astro Boy. Everyone else has used this as a gimmick, yet here in Returnal, it's used to its fullest of extents. It's so good, from the vibrations to the alt firing thanks to the haptic feedback, to the sounds of your surroundings coming from the controller's speaker. It all adds that layer of finesse that one simply has to commend Housemarque for in developing this game. Now, full disclosure, I started playing this game after the third patch. I know on launch the game had a few issues that were mainly related to the rest mode or switcher ability of the PlayStation 5 console, among other minor issues including save files. That was an issue for those playing before the day one patch, I believe. But by the third patch, I've not seen anything I can complain about bug-wise. The game just works. I'm not going to sit here and say there is zero bugs, but I haven't encountered any in my time of playing the game, and I have played this game for quite some time. Now that we've spoken about the good stuff, now on to the not so good stuff. With the way the game works, there is no progress saves. If you are in an hour-long game and you want to play something else because your friends jumped on, well, you can't. The quick resume from the Xbox Series X and S is surely missing here, and the functionality of the switcher just pales in comparison. This isn't the game's fault, but it will at some point affect you and become a hindrance. Putting the console in sleep mode does retain your progress, and you can continue from whence you left. However, you are stuck playing the game until you die in the game, and if you are having a good run, well, that could be a couple of hours at least. For those of you that don't know, the switcher ability that the PlayStation 5 supports isn't designed really to retain your progress, it just switches from one game to the next. Every time I've done this personally on my console, the game has restarted from the very beginning, from the credits, as if it's booting up for the first time. The Series X and S has a quick resume feature that doesn't do this. You can pretty much switch to another game, come back, and when you come back to that said game, you will continue exactly where you left off. It's a shame that the PlayStation doesn't have a feature of this caliber. However, what I will say is, it's a minor hindrance, but nothing that you can't get around and doesn't really dampen on the game. The difficulty is another topic that needs to be discussed. The first two biomes are fairly simple, they're easy to get around and easy for you to evolve into. Even the third is not that challenging, although the spike of difficulty, you do notice it rising. However, as you progress to the fourth biome and onwards, things start to spike very quickly, like very high. And the first time, you likely won't be prepared for this either, resulting in you bowing out rather quickly. This of course is a double-edged sword, and for some, can and will be seen as a good thing. as they embrace the thrill of the challenge, but for others, the sudden change in difficulty, the sudden spike, can be seen as just too much and be enough to put them off, especially considering once you get to Biome 4 and 5, if you do die, just remember you will go back to the beginning at Biome 1. The difficulty isn't for everyone for sure. However, if that doesn't put you off and you actually embrace the challenge and embrace the difficulty, there is a world of awesomeness awaiting you right here. The final point I want to talk about is the price tag of £70 here in the UK, which I do believe is a bit steep. And if you don't enjoy these type of games, it may be a big factor. Sony really needs to fix that pricing model. However, if you enjoy these games, there is hours of fun, exploring and replayability all waiting for you. And it does, if you enjoy this genre, if you enjoy this sort of game, justify the price tag. The DualSense is absolutely amazing, having been properly incorporated into the game. The sound effects, ambient sound and more are just awesome, and the gameplay just shines. I never thought I would enjoy this game, but here I stand singing high praises despite its minor flaws and minor issues, and can comfortably recommend this title to you, even if it is your first time jumping into a game like this. This is my first time jumping into a game like this, and I can for one tell you that I thoroughly am enjoying the experience. It's a great experience all in all, and one that allows the PlayStation 5, in my opinion, to truly shine. Well everyone, that is the end of my review. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review of Returnal. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you look over to the left, you'll find a video that I'm recommending to you that I think you might actually enjoy. On the right, you'll see a video that is recommended by YouTube. I really do hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next one, remember to always remain legend.